Today I am talking backpacks, more specifically the Osprey Aura, which is this one here, and the Osprey Atmos, which is the male's version. Now, I hiked Pacific Crest Trail in 2019 and switched to this particular pack and hiked with it every single day for over 4.5 months. So what I want to do is go through all the features of the pack, but also what I liked about it, how it held up, and also what I didn't like about it. So if you're considering this pack, then this video is for you. I have the female version of this pack, which is called the Aura. However, the male's version is called the Atmos. All the features of the pack are the same. However, there's some slight differences, but it's purely for fit. So the female version has got a slightly narrower pack body, but it's deeper. It's also got on the shoulder harnesses a different style of fit for comfort around the neck, the shoulders, and also the chest area. The hip belt curves around the hips, but it's also moulded and shaped differently to take into account the larger difference between the waist and the hip ratio on a woman. Apart from that, everything else is pretty much the same. The pack comes in two different size options. You've got a 65 litre capacity or a 50 litre. Now, the sizing of the pack, even though it's adjustable, you do have to measure your torso and get the correct fitting for you. So in Europe, you have for example, for the women's, you've got the women's extra small, the small and the medium. However, just to know, if you do get the extra small, you do reduce your capacity. So the women's extra small is actually only a 60 litre pack. The women's small is a 62 litre, but the women's medium is a 65 litre. So just bear that in mind when you're purchasing it. The purchase price currently here in the UK is £200 as the selling price directly from Osprey, but obviously when you shop around you can get things a little bit cheaper. So looking at the different weights of the pack, they do again vary depending on the female and the male version and also which size you get. The weight of the men's starts from 4.48 pounds, which is 2.03 kilograms. The weight of the 65 litre women's starts at 4.26 pounds, which is 1.93 kilograms. If you want to reduce weight even more, you can remove the floating lid. It just detaches from the pack very simply. This is also called the brain, and it saves you a few extra grams. Now, the load range on this pack is between 30 and 50 pounds. It comes in 3 different colours for the men and the women, so it's a blue, a red and a grey. The material is made out of a synthetic fabric, which is durable nylon. It's very good for repelling water. It's a top-loading pack, so it's got a top lid access. It opens by drawstring cords, and it also has a divider in the pack as well. So if you want to keep your sleeping bag at the bottom, it does separate nicely. And there is a zip, so if you just wish to access that, you can get to it without opening the whole top. Now, why do I have 2 of the same backpacks, I hear you ask? Well, it's not just because I had a colour change, it is because I had this one from a previous trip. So the green one is what I had before I went away, and I decided not to take it with me because I thought it was going to be too big. But obviously I swapped packs whilst I was out on the Pacific Crest Trail and ended up getting the same model but in a different colour. So this was the one I had out with me. I'm going to show you the features on this one, but I'm going to put this to one side because it is not in a very good state. It has taken a little bit of a beating, and I promised you I would show you how it held up, so I will show you that afterwards. But for now, I'll show you the cleaner one so I can go through the different features for you. There are a few slight differences on these 2 bags. Firstly, they no longer do the green colour. Secondly, the old version of the bag has only one zip on each of the top lid pockets, but they have improved this on the new model as the larger pocket now has dual zips. The way in which the top lid can be removed has also changed for the better. It now has buckles you unclip rather than having to unthread these retention straps, which makes it much easier. There are plenty of different web attachment points which you can hang things from. So you can put things like carabiners on and hang things off those, or you can hang your straps through them to stop them blowing in the wind. I hung things like my sunglasses, my Garmin, I put my drinking tube for my bladder through one. They come in really handy to hang things off. There's some removable sleeping pad straps on the base of the pack. Now, I could have taken these off, but I did use these quite frequently. I tended to put my rain cover for my tent on here when it got wet or damp, and it used to just dry off during the day and drip, so it was external. You can hang other things through there as well, such as clothes, waterproofs, or you can just take them off and it saves you a few more grams. I loved this stretchy pocket at the front. It is amazing how big this got, and it comes with a little clasp which is extendable, so you can make it bigger if you need to. Now, I used to tend to put my waterproofs in here when they got a little bit damp, or some item of clothing if I got a bit warm, so like my puffy or things like that. Or even bags of crisps or peanut butter pretzels used to go in here quite frequently when I did a resupply, because I didn't want them getting squashed. And also with the clasp itself, I used to hang this through my Crocs, and they used to be on the external part of the pack. It's a great pocket and you can add so much stuff to it. Speaking of mesh pockets, they have also got 2 mesh ones. So they've got one there and one there. Now, what I like about these is the fact that some of the packs are only top loading, which means if you're trying to get access to a water bottle, when you've got your pack on, it can be quite tricky. But because the Osprey have designed them to be able to do it from the side and with a little thumb loop, which puts it in there in a diagonal way, and it's just very easy to get access to your water bottles. Another thing that I kept in these side pockets were tent poles. I didn't want to have them on the inside of my pack in fear of them snapping, so I used to tend to just put them down the side here. They've got 2 very large pockets in the top, which I found so useful because I could separate my food for the day and put them in here. And I used to put things like my phone, my camera, maps, all kinds of stuff. You honestly can fill them so full. In the front, you have 2 vertical pockets, exactly the same, so they're classed as twin zippered. Just pull them down vertically, and again, you have got so much room in those pockets. It goes all the way down to about there, so it fills about that whole half area. On the sides of the pack, you've got twin compression webbing straps. Now, I used to put my tent poles down here and it used to hold them in place, but what they're designed for is that when the pack hasn't got a lot of items in it, you can pull it very, very tightly. And it's very simple to do so. On the front, you have got twin ice axe hoops with bungee tie-offs, so there and here. There is also a stow-on-the-go trekking pole attachment where you put your trekking poles through and have it on an angle to your body. There isn't any ports for the trekking pole tips if you're not using the stow and go feature and you want to store them somewhere else. What I tended to do was use the ice axe loops here and used to put them through here. And what used to happen with the trekking poles, the basket used to kind of sit on top of here so it would rest and not fall all the way through. So that was a solution I had, and these can tie up pretty tight. Twisting the pack around, you can see the back version of it, which is the bit that goes on your back. We have got the sternum strap with an emergency whistle on it here. Now, it's not the strongest whistle in the world, but it will get you out of a bind if you need it. I think when you're doing any major backpacking adventures, and you're out on your own especially, it's important to carry a proper whistle, but this one will do. It does make quite a noise. This mesh on the back is classed as their anti-gravity 3D suspended mesh back system. There is the Fit on the Fly adjustable hip belt. Now, this has got mesh going all the way through it, which means that it's ventilated, which is always good around your hips. It's adjustable whilst it's on you, so just let me show you how that works. You clasp it together, then you pull the loose ends of the webbing in and across the body evenly and at the same time. As tight as you wish. There is so much extra webbing on these, so I tend to double them over on themselves and then just tuck them back into the gap. Now, in here, you have got Velcro on the older models of this version. I believe there is a newer version out which has got some kind of hook system on it, but on this one it's Velcro, so you can adjust the hip belt. You've got twin zippered hip belt pockets on either side. Sometimes I used to keep my phone in here, some hand sanitizer, lip balm, things like that, or some snacks to have on the go. It does fit an iPhone in there. However, when it curves around you, it can be a little tricky to access, but generally they are very, very roomy. In the top zip of the pack, there is an integrated rain cover, which I find so useful. It attaches to a cord inside by Velcro, so it stays in place when you're bringing it out. So if it's really windy, when you need it, it doesn't fly off, and it just goes over the pack. And it has got an adjustable cord on the bottom, so you can tighten it and cinch it round so it doesn't fly off. Inside the same zip as the Rainfly, there is a clip which is designed to attach to some keys. To gain access, you unclip it and remove the top part. You'll see the flap jacket underneath. Then you have the drawstring cord, which you just pull down. The first thing you'll notice is the red internal compression strap. This is so handy when your pack is full, because it really does compress things down. So we just unclip that. There's an internal hydration sleeve which is compatible with the hydraulics reservoir, which I believe is an Osprey one. In here I have just got the 3 litre camel pack, and that fits in perfectly. There is a clip on the inside which I believe attaches to an Osprey reservoir. The reason for having your bladder here is because it helps ensure proper weight distribution. One bugbear that I have had is that the port for the drinking tube isn't central, but it is on here. It goes right in the middle of the backpack, which means that you can then choose which side you want the drinking tube to be at on the outside, so you can go down either way. I hate it when it's specifically one side or another and you have a preference for the opposite side. Apart from that, inside is pretty straightforward. The only other thing to know is that there is a division for the base. So you can choose to keep something in the bottom and keep it separate and just gain access to it by the zips down here at the bottom. What I liked best about the Osprey Aura was the fact that it's got such large pockets for storage. I particularly liked the brain where it had that top zip. It's deceptively large. You can hold an awful lot of things in there. Some days I'd put my whole lunch in there, plus my camera, my phone, anything else. It just adds so much extra to the pack, and you can fill it as much as you possibly can because it lifts so high up. I also like the front pockets, which zip down, because you can just put different things in there without worrying about anything spilling into the rest of the contents. I used to put my cosmetics in there, I used to put my first aid kit in there. It was very, very handy to have everything compartmentalised. I also like the fact that the hip belt is so secure around my hips, and it kind of hugged me so much and took most of the weight off my shoulders. And speaking of shoulders, so much padding on the shoulder straps. It was just so much more comfortable than most of the packs I've ever had before. And then I think the last thing I liked was the fact that the torso length was adjustable. It was nice to be able to tailor it exactly to fit my body. What I didn't like about the pack, now there are a number of things, I am not gonna lie, and the first thing is the fact that I felt it was too big for me. Even though I got the small size or the extra small, it still was too high. I don't like a pack that when you're wearing it, it comes to the back of your head, because when you're looking back and when you're looking up, there is that tendency of knocking your head all the time. So it kind of felt like my movements were restricted, and I didn't like that side of it. Another thing I didn't like is that for some reason they've put some kind of wire in the lower part of the pack. So after wearing it for every single day for 4.5 months, after only a couple of months, I think it was about 2 months, I noticed it started wearing a little bit thin. So all of a sudden it would start kind of rubbing on my lower back area, and that got quite uncomfortable after a while, so I didn't like that. Another thing that I wasn't happy with was the hip belt itself. So it's adjustable and it's classed as being able to adjust it while it's on you. But unfortunately, the ones I've got have got Velcro. So as you're pulling the strap round to make it fit and contour your body properly, it kind of attaches by a Velcro, so it grips it in place. But if you're putting an awful lot of force around your hips and getting it as tight to cinch it in so it's comfortable when you're hiking, I felt that the Velcro after time got quite loose and it would slip out, so I was constantly having to push it back again. I do believe on their website that they've said that they've changed that now, and I think they've got some kind of hook and loop system. I haven't seen it myself, but the 2 packs that I've got have only got the Velcro. Apart from when I had a fall and ripped the hip belt pocket, the wear and tear was minimal considering what I put it through, so I was pleased with the overall durability. The last thing I didn't so much like about the pack was it's shaped a little bit like an egg timer, which means it's quite narrow in the middle, resulting in it being a little bit top heavy when you've got it very full. And especially if you've got a bear canister in there, it's a little bit difficult to kind of pack around it. But overall, it is an extremely good pack. I would highly recommend it. If you were to ask me, is it the perfect pack? I would say not for me, but I think that's maybe because I'm petite or because I'm on the shorter side. I think if you're a little bit taller, it would be a lot more comfortable, and a lot of the problems that I've spoken about today probably wouldn't be so much of a problem to other people. Now, anyone that saw me hiking the PCT on those videos know that I started off with the Osprey Asia backpack, which was a 48 litre pack. I absolutely loved that pack before I left. I'd gone out on a few different hikes with it. I'd put loads of weight in it, into about 35 to 40 pounds in at some points, and it was very, very comfortable. However, once I got out on trail, after continuous usage every single day of pushing that pack to its maximum, it gave me a few problems, and I had an awful lot of bruising and blistering on my shoulders and also around my hip. The support that it gave me just was not enough, the cushioning was not enough. I had read on the website before I got that pack that it would hold loads of between 15 and 40 pounds. Now, I never exceeded 35 pounds in that pack, but it did give me a lot of problems, and I tried to persevere with it because I loved how small it was. I loved the fact that I could put my head back and that it was comfortable. But then at one point the drawstring cord broke on it, so I contacted Osprey, told them about the problems I'd been having with the shoulders and the hip belts being uncomfortable, as well as the rip. And they actually told me that even though on the website it says that the load can be up to 40 pounds, they do not recommend it for multi-day hikes. The maximum load range they recommend on multi-day hikes with that pack is 30 pounds, which is obviously why it was giving me so many problems. So I did change it, and they recommended that I went into a store and swapped it out for the Osprey Aura, which is the one that I'm reviewing today, and that is why I made the change. I was limited because it was under the guarantee, so they did give me the bag as a free exchange, which was amazing, because I think that's another reason why I like the backpacks, because the customer service that you get is outstanding, and they gave me an instant swap without any receipts because I was obviously hiking the PCT. And it just goes to show that when you're with a good company, they do look after you. So big thumbs up to Osprey for that. But I was limited in my choice. I couldn't just choose any single backpack I wanted whilst I was out there. So that is why I swapped. I hope you have found this video useful. As always, it's my honest review of it, and I like to share the experiences I've had with gear in order to help other people when they're looking at considering things. So if you have enjoyed what I've done today, please give this video a like. It helps a great deal. Subscribe to my channel, turn on the bell icon to be notified when I do videos, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye!